Hello everyone, I am Professor PROF.PRADIP and I hope all of you are fine. So we have been discussing few topics in the recent past for the RBI Grade B Phase examination for the subject of paper 1, that is ESI, Economic and Social Issues. The first major topic I was discussing on the growth and development, and of that the subtopic, two subtopics have already been discussed. So today we are here with the third topic, and the name of the topic is sustainable development and the environmental issues. And you know what? I think you have seen in the very recent past as to how we were suffering because of the lack of oxygen in the recent past corona outbreak. And a lot of people, they died because of the lack of oxygen. So that's the significance, that's the importance of our environment, which is providing a lot of things free of cost, for which we do not have to bother. Just imagine if the oxygen is sellable and people have to purchase just for their breathing also, then millions and millions of dollars they have to spend just for their breathing. So that's the beauty of the environment. We have been getting a lot of the freebies from the environment, but the irony is that we do not respect all these things. Rather than that, we are putting a lot of damage to our environment by building the concrete buildings, also taking up a lot of deforestation, the development of cities on the hilly areas, and whatever, you take the river, you take the soil, you take the water, everything we are just misutilizing. So imagine whatever is the water level, what will happen if we continue to utilize this water or misutilize this water to be more accurate. What will be the level after 100 years down the line? You already might have seen that in the Chennai, the water level has gone down to 2,000 feet. So that's a very alarming situation for all of us. It becomes very important, therefore, to not only ensure the sustainable development, but also to ensure that we are protecting our environment at the same time. So today's topic is a very important topic, not only because of the examination for which you are going to appear, but also for the general awareness, and me, you included. If everybody is made aware on day in and day out, I think all of us the combined efforts can give the expected outcomes in times to come. Okay, so on that note, I think today I'm going to have a detailed discussion on the environmental issues and the sustainable development of the human being, so that we survive with all the best facilities given and extended by the environment. Okay, so before I plunge into the detailed discussion, I would like to request all of you to do like, share, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and keep on receiving the interesting videos in future as well. Okay, so now I'm going to share my slide. I hope all of you can see the slide. Okay, so this is the subtopic sustainable development and environmental issues that is intended basically for the students of RBI Grade B Phase examination, but this is equally useful to all those people who are in the field of management, be it BBA or be it MBA, or even this topic in specific I'm talking about. This is important for all of the people, irrespective of what is their domain of the expertise or the curriculum. Okay, so let us know what is the environment per se. Everything that is surrounding you, be it forest, be it hilly area, or be it water, be it air, the soil, everything, it constitutes the environment. So let us go by the definition of the environment. These are the basic preliminary inputs I have been sharing in all my discussions. This is the topic, the third topic. So the environment refers to the natural setting in which we live. Okay, so whatever has been given by us and given by nature to all of us is we can call it environment. So what it actually encompasses? It encompasses the interaction between biotic and abiotic components that coexist in the form of the natural state. And the biotic components actually refer to the living components that include the plant, animals, and birds, because plants also they are living components. Otherwise, how could have they grown? Abiotic components, on the other hand, they refer to the land, air, water, etc., which we can't call the living entities, but they do play an important role in our day-to-day life. So, what the environment actually does for all of us, it has got few major functions apart from a number of the minor functions. So, what is the major function? The number one is the supply of resources. So, all kind of resources and very important ones, significant ones. As I told you, the oxygen, nitrogen, everything that we get from the air, the breathing air, the water, which without which we can't imagine to live, the soil, which is the preliminary requirement for any kind of agricultural growing. So everything, all the resources that are being supplied, sunlight, for example, there will not be any life on the earth if there is no sunlight. So the environment basically caters to all this supply of the resources. That is the major function. And what it intends to, this is intending to the sustenance of the life, because I told you, without having all these kind of resources, the sustenance of life will be next to impossible. Not only that, it is also providing the aesthetic value. So there is a natural beauty that we call. So irrespective of how we go into the multi-story buildings like Burj Khalifa and all, the malls and the cities, but the fact of the matter is the aesthetic value that has been extended by the natural setting of the environment is second to none. It's second to none. And almost all of us, we appreciate at some point or the other, especially when we are trying to go for our vacations. And the next important function is the assimilation of the waste generated by various production and consumption activities. So unless and until these are being circulated and a cycle is getting completed, the things will make our life worse. So this is natural way of waste management, the natural way of waste management. That also is a major function of the environment. Check. So let us proceed further now. These are some of the issues relating to the environment in our country at the time, degrading the air quality index, and you must be seeing, especially during October and November time, when at least Delhi NCR, it is one of the highest polluted country, the area of the country. So air quality index is really an issue of concern, because it leads to a lot of problems, the health problem in us. The next issue is rampant environmental degradation, thanks to all the human efforts in going against the nature in one way or the other. Next is loss of biodiversity, because a lot of species they are being lost because of the deforestation and all other activities that we are taking up in have been taking in the recent past and are even planning to do it in the future. Urbanization in the Himalayas, another issue which needs to be curbed to some extent at least. Then the loss of resilience in the ecosystem. The ecosystem usually is self-sustaining and is a robust, system of self-sustainability. But in times to come, this is going to lose its resilience more and more because of the human activities. Lack of waste management, because we are generating a lot of waste. Then what could be managed by the natural activities? And for that, we need to actually introduce or implement some more, ways of waste management, what we call depletion of resource taking place in land, air, and water. The land is also getting less and less because of the concrete jungles or the buildings that we make. Air also is reducing, water also is reducing, example already given to you, and growing water scarcity. 2014, the Chennai, I told you, So this is what is going to happen to almost all of the areas next 100 years down the line. So we should not only worry for our own self, but we also should worry about our future generations. How they will be getting water, what will be the condition then? So all of these issues, they are requiring significant concern from all of us, you included. So what the government is doing, that also is important to know. Some of the major governmental initiatives taken in the recent past. You can see Swachh Bharat Abhiyan in 2015, it began in line with the United Nations, mission and vision. Then Green Skill Development Program, Namami Gange Program, intended to clean the Gangas. Compensatory Afforestation Fund Act, in which there is a funding provision for afforestation. National Mission for Green India, National River Conservation Program, conservation of natural resources and ecosystem. So all these initiatives have been taken by the government of the day in order to ensure that at least we are contributing to some sort of development of the environment and showing our concern for the degrading environment. Okay, so these programs, even if they are implemented with the full vision, I think they are going to contribute a lot to the improvement in the environment in the. Now, next is, what is sustainable development? So, sustainable development basically is the development that meets the needs of the present generation without compromising with the needs of the future generation. So, just now I was telling you that we are consuming water with a very high speed, and this may not leave adequate water for our future generations. So what is the way out so that we can ensure that whatever we are receiving, we do not have an impact on the resources that our future generation may get. So that is what we call the sustainable development. And for that, we need to be really careful. For that, we really need to be concerned, and we need to contribute in our own way for the environmental sustainability. So how we can do that? It calls for a concerted effort to build an inclusive, sustainable, and resilient ecosystem for the people and the planet per se. Okay, so I think you have understood the core concept of the sustainable development. And if, like you students, if they start, putting their efforts into this, leave just aside the exam, preparing for the examination. You also must have serious concerns for the environment. Okay, so these are some of the essential elements of the sustainable development. What we need to care for is the increase in per capita income. For this, we can increase to higher production levels by bringing the efficiency and productivity in all our efforts. We also need to be very judicious in using our natural resources that include the soil, water, air, and everything that is being provided free of cost by the nature. And so therefore, we also need to preserve the resources for the future generations so that they don't have to run out. So while we are accumulating a lot of money, which is a man-made entity, we are not really concerned whether or not our future generation are even going to survive with the kind of impacts they might have had because of our actions today. What about the United Nations? They also have their sustainable development goals. That 17 sustainable development goals include the following. You can go through. You can just make a note of it so that you can correlate with whatever efforts are being made in our country, and in the process you also can contribute. So these are some of the SDGs, that is the Sustainable Developmental Goals, identified by United Nations. Like ending the poverty in all forms from everywhere, end of hunger, achieve food security and improve nutrition, ensuring the healthy lives, ensuring inclusive and equitable quality education, achieving the gender equality and empower all women and girls, ensure availability and sustainable management of the water and sanitation for the all, then ensuring access to affordable, reliable, sustainable and modern energy for all. So there are a lot of things are being done, like solar energy, wind energy, citing some of the examples, apart from the usual way of generating the energy, we also need to promote sustained and inclusive economic growth, full and productive employment, which is not, looking to be happening at least in this period of time. We need to build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster the innovation. Without innovation and creativity, I think we can't travel much longer. Reducing the inequality within and among the countries, making cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, and resilient. And then few more are ensuring sustainable consumption and production patterns, urgent action to combat the climate change, because the global warming is again an area of concern. That also is happening because of our unwise, decisions of developments. Conserving and sustainably using the oceans, seas, and marine resources. So nowadays, another problem is even the fish in the seas, they are not safe because of a lot of pollution being poured into by different countries like China and some other adjoining countries. We also need to protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of the territorial ecosystem, sustainably managing the forest, combat desertification, halt and reverse the land degradation, and halting the biodiversity loss. Promoting peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, and strengthening the means of implementation and revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development. So some of the issues are already been taken up by the United Nations, and they are being discussed at length during their meetings. But the actual outcome is yet to be seen on the ground. So what measures India has taken towards the sustainable development vis-a-vis the United Nations vision? So, like, Niti Aayog is interested in the task of coordinating the sustainable developmental goals, and the states also have been advised to undertake similar mapping. Okay, then the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation is engaged in the process of building key indicators, because it is also important to actually identify and to interpret how we can interpret the SDGs only through the key indicators for exact monitoring. So what the government of India has done since 2015 is that it has launched several flagship programs which are at the head of the SDGs. Some of them are Swachh Bharat Mission, Skill India, Make in India, Digital India, Startup India, Stand Up India. All these things, they are in one way or the other are going to add to the sustainable development goals. Notwithstanding, there are a lot of challenges in attaining these SDGs for India, and we can see that irrespective of whether we have been identifying some of the SDGs, it is really very difficult to define the key indicators which are going to ensure that the sustainable development goals are implemented properly. So unless and until we are having the key indicators, it is very difficult to exactly analyze the whole thing. Another problem is financing the sustainable developmental goals. Whatever we are putting into is not adequate and requires a huge amount of money, which definitely is below a requirement at this point in time. Then another problem is monitoring and ownership of implementation process. So while there are a lot of things in terms of the policy, they look quite impressive, and people get a feeling that the things are being improved, will be improved in times to come. But the on-ground monitoring and ownership is really very different from what is being seen on the papers, and the implementation issue has always been a concern for all of us. And finally, measuring the progress also is difficult because of the different parameters which are being considered by different agencies, by different people. The inferences made from there, and so therefore, incomplete coverage of the administrative data is another factor that has hampered the measurement of the progress for even the millennial developmental goals that were precursor to the sustainable developmental goals. But to conclude, notwithstanding all these challenges, if me and you, we affirm ourselves. We are being assertive and we make sure that we are putting our contribution, effective contribution, with all these points in mind. I hope in times to come, a lot of things can be achieved, irrespective of what the challenges we are facing, because ultimately willpower and seriousness is what is being sought for, and not only from the government agencies, but also from the people in general. So therefore, it is very important for all of us to know that if all of us combine together, if we put our efforts, the sustainable development without hampering the resource availabilities for our future generation can be achieved sooner than later. On this note, now I conclude for the day. Thanks a lot for watching the video till end. Feel free to mail your subject related queries at my mail ID, uh, and I'll be very happy to address all those questions. You can suggest me some of the managerial topics which are not part of the RBI Grade B Phase examination. I will also be happy to discuss all those things. So once again, I urge all of you to do like, share, subscribe, and comment on my YouTube channel, and give me the feedback, because that is what is motivating me to conduct and organize this kind of lecture sessions for all of you. Okay. So once again, I'm telling you that this is tailor-made for the RBI Grade B Phase examination, but all the managerial students from BBS, MBS, or people in general also, they will be getting a lot of benefit out of these topics, because many of these topics are quite general, which are to be known by each one of us, irrespective of our domain of expertise. Okay. So on this note, I conclude for the day, and once again, thanks to all of you for being so courteous and having a lot of patience to be able to watch till end. Uh, Thanks. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. See you soon again with another video. Thanks.